Hello, everyone, and welcome to LeeLa. I'm Lee Philbrook. The intention of the LeeLa community is really to transform conversations and practices into actions that make a difference. And LeeLa comes from Sanskrit, and it means divine or creative play, and literally translates to your story. And we love to explore other stories. And I was just realizing with that lovely day, and as it ended and our song, it just made me think of Sophie tonight. So I'm so excited for our last show of the year. It's hard to believe it's the end of 2021, and I've really, the last period of time I've been reflecting on what has happened in 2021, and it has been such a year of changes. I know for me and many of the people in my life, lots of people have been having struggles, feeling issues of injustice. I know many people have felt isolated and the separation of not being together with friends and family. And, personally, I've felt all of these things over this last year. And I've also really struggled to always speak my truth, right? And to ask for directly what I want. So I'm thrilled to have Sophie Luxton here this evening as our special guest, because she truly is authentic, unapologetically herself, and passionate about the work she does with women to discover their voices and their sensual self. So really, it's a night to explore and to have some fun. So I encourage all of you that are here this evening to put your cameras on. We really love to create community and connection. Feel free to ask questions along the way. And now I'd like to pass it over to my co-host, Lisa English.
Welcome to LeeLa, everyone. This is a space where you can learn, explore, and most importantly, have fun. Through our storytelling, we hope to inspire you all to live a more intentional life. I'm a high school teacher and a youth mentor, and I'm really excited to be here tonight. It is the season to sparkle, like my shirt says. And I know Sophie really encourages us all to sparkle and shine our light. She has a lot of great tips to share with us this evening, and I'm looking forward to learning more about how to create authentic relationships, which is a big value of mine. It's going to be a great adventure. And with that being said, I'm going to pass it back over to my co-host, Lee Philbrook.
I really love what I do. I'm a coach and a guide. I'm also a Reiki master, a cranial sacral therapist, a master practitioner of NLP and hypnotherapy. And I'm passionate about supporting women creating new possibilities in their lives, their communities, and the world. I'm also a connector, a collaborator, and an activator of people and ideas. I love making meaningful connections and creating magical experiences. So with that being said, here we go. I'd like to start with our opening intention that really connects us and holds the space for this evening. So I invite you to close your eyes. May divine grace surround us, uphold us, and cherish us all. May it support us and our sacred trust and community. May we be strong together and our journeys be brighter and higher for having walked side by side. May we be guides for others and ourselves with clarity, tenderness, and light, feeling gentle in our minds and clear with our words, being strong in our creations, sending peace in all directions of time. With gratitude, we take this moment to arrive and join together. Open your eyes. Welcome to the room. And now over to Lisa to introduce our special guest.
Sophie Luxton spent 25 years as a dance teacher, choreographer, and performer. Over the decade of being married and having young children, Sophie dedicated herself to finding her joy, pleasure, and erotic energy again, inside the roles of mother and wife. Out of that soul journey, she created her signature courses, How to Get What You Want from Your Man and Spiritual Striptease. Sophie's passion is to help women to get everything they want through communicating with their partner and rooting themselves in their own pleasure and turn on. It is now my pleasure to welcome our special guest of the evening, Sophie Luxton.
Thank you, Lisa. Thank you, Lee. I'm so happy to be here. Lee, I just realized that earlier today, I said, I can't believe we're doing this juicy work on Tuesday night, and I forgot that it was Wednesday. So I'm so happy to be here on an official Wednesday night, doing beautiful work in this juicy space. So thank you so much for inviting me to be a guest.
Sophie, I'm so thrilled to have you here. Sophie and I think we were just talking about this. I think it was almost 20 years ago that we met. And at the time I was putting on goddess parties. And Sophie and I met through, I think I was doing one of her workshops, and we were doing pole dancing and striptease. And then I brought Sophie on to actually do it with a group of women. And it was such a phenomenal experience. And I think it was more recently because, we all went off and did our own things. And Sophie, you I guess, emerged in my life because I saw you on social media and you were putting yourself out there. And I just, you had moved, the pandemic, you moved out of the city and you moved to Bracebridge. And like all of us, gone online and figuring out, how we do what we do. And girl, you put yourself out there, and I went, oh my gosh, Sophie needs to be on this show. And so here we are. So it's like, oh my God, 20 years later, right? The juiciness is reemerging. So tell me what, it's a big question, but what's happened between then and now?
Yeah, that is a big question. And first of all, hi, Jennifer. Lovely to see your face. Thank you for going on camera. Welcome to everyone else that is here. Thank you so much. Lee, do you know how you got me on your podcast? You asked. And it's just that simple sometimes. So I just wanted to flag that.
I love that.
Yeah. Like most women on the soul journey in the last, I guess, I would say most intensely in the last 10 years, I got married and had kids. And that created a big shock in all of my systems, my erotic system, my pleasure system, my nourishment system, my turn on, my creative, my entrepreneur. Everything just got blown up. And I have been clawing and running and stumbling and dancing and in all the ways coming to this moment here. So I would say that, probably most of the people who are on this call, life is about this big soul journey. And certainly for me, marriage and motherhood have been exquisitely created experiences for my soul journey.
Mm-hmm.
That's really what they are, like all relationships.
Yeah.
All relationships. And, I spent a lot of the last 10 years doing a lot of empowerment work. I don't even really know. I know what that phrase means, but I don't really know what that phrase means, but I'm going to use it because we all understand it. So, like how do I feel sexy again? How do I find myself again within motherhood and marriage? Who am I in these roles? The first place that I started was refilling myself, turning myself back on. So I would call that empowerment, in that it felt like this internal refortification, reorientation. And it was internal work. And when I was doing my internal work, when I felt great, I felt very powerful. I started to figure out what I wanted. Like I felt my juice again. And I thought, this is it. Like, you know, those of us on a soul journey, we're always looking for like, I'll just do this next step and then I'll finally be there and I'll be done and everything will be awesome. So it's like, I'll just get empowered and I'll just like, that will be awesome. And then I'll feel great and then I'll be done. And turns out that we're never done. Plot
That's
spoiler.
right.
And
Yeah.
where I got to was this place where the power that I wanted to feel wasn't anymore internal power, but it was power in relationships. That I was like, and then I was like, I don't know how to do that. I don't know how to. I know how to do it when I'm with other women who are doing the work that I'm doing. I know how to do it within these specific communities. I know how to do it when I'm feeling great and when I'm with people who get me and who are doing the same thing that I'm doing. But then when it comes to relationships, intimate relationships, children, colleagues, family, friends, strangers, neighbors, that's where I was feeling the lack of power. So then that became my study. Like, how do I this is not, now I need to up level and take this power that I feel and translate it into relationships. Which is, of course, the hardest, most beautiful work.
Yeah.
Yeah. As we
You know, when yeah, because all that's really going on is people, right? We make it about all the other things, but truly what is important is the relationships in our lives. And the most challenging thing. Yeah.
It's the most challenging thing. And at some point, we will come to a place where we have hit the ceiling of our own resources. We can't make all our dreams come true on our own. And we must engage, invite, demand, entice, seduce people around us to help us in that place. And you know, part of what's so fun about my work is that I get to really mess with our ideas of what it is to ask. Because we have all these stories about what asking means about us.
Right.
Stories about asking.
Right.
And they get in our way. And so it's fun to, I don't know, can we swear in this, or is this a clean space?
I think we're good.
Jennifer's like, no, this is not a clean space. So just to completely fuck with all of the things that we think about asking, because we're not good at asking, and there's a million very valid reasons for that. It's not that, you know, we're not strong. It doesn't mean that we're not powerful. It doesn't mean that we necessarily don't know what we want. It's just that we have a lot of really valid reasons for why we don't ask and why it's so hard for us, which is also kind of like adorable. Like, we're adorable. We're adorable in all the ways that we don't know how to ask.
Right.
And it fucks us up. It's like, it's all adorable and precious and cute. And also we can play with it and learn something new.
So in this journey that you've been on, I guess we've all been on, and especially this last period of time, why is it that you think it's so hard for us to ask for what we want, right? So whatever it may be, not even, you know, not only in our intimate, say, relationships, but whether it be, you know, asking for the raise or asking a friend for help, or, you know, and as I think as Canadians too, we also kind of tend to do it in this apologizing way too, if we have to ask, and it's like, I'm really sorry, but can you, you know, kind of thing. So what has been your experience of why is it so hard for us to ask for what we want, and especially for what we most want in our life?
Right. It's such a good question. And anybody who is on the call, if my reason resonates with you, just pop like a reaction in the corner, because I love to kind of like, we'll do a little, like a casual poll on what's happening. Why is it so hard? asking for what we want requires that we know what we want in the first place. None of us are trained to do that. It requires that we feel that we are so worthy of asking for what we want and getting it, that we will ask for it. So those are things that none of us grew up with. None of us grew up with, you know, loving family members that are like, Lisa, what do you desire, darling? Tell us everything that you desire. Or Lee and Jennifer, just let's spend an hour just uncovering your desires so they can come true. Most of us did not grow up with that. Most of us probably didn't grow up with female figures in our households who were very good at knowing what they wanted and feeling worthy of asking for it. We grew up in a world that where the male voice and the male experience is centered. So we have become so good at adjusting everything around men, even if we're not in heterosexual relationships. The boss, the father, the brother, the male at work, whoever, the landlord, the stranger, whoever we're dealing with. So we are very good at kind of paying attention to like other people's desires and even asking on behalf of other people. We're very well trained to play supporting roles instead of being leading ladies. Leading ladies know what they want and they ask for it. We have so many stories that asking is a last resort, you know? So it's like, oh man, I tried to do this all on my own and it didn't fucking work. Great. Now I have to ask for help because my back is against the wall. Asking as a last resort. Which when you think about that, I mean, it's adorable and completely messed up because no wonder we feel isolated. No wonder we get overwhelmed. No wonder we get burnt out. If we are imagining that we have the capacity to do it all on our own, of course we have a hard time asking, and of course we diminish our juice constantly, constant depletion, because we're trying to do it on our own. And most of us have grown up with this idea that if you're an independent woman, especially who's a feminist, you don't ask for help because you don't need it, because you're so fucking capable and strong. And we are capable and we are strong and we can do amazing things. In fact, we do amazing things on the regular, in and out of every single day. So what would it be like to, you know, challenge all of the assumptions that we have about asking? What if we thought to ourselves, asking is not a burden, but asking is connection? What if we thought, the people in my life want to know how to make me happy? They are dying to know. They are dying to know, what do you want? What do you need? What turns you on? What makes you happy? Tell me, tell me, tell me. What would happen if we started a project and instead of being like, I'm just going to figure out how to do this project on my own, the very first thing on our to-do list was like, ask for help. And we're like, ooh, I want to start running. Ooh, who should I ask for help? I mean, it's that in itself is revolutionary. What if we looked at asking as a place for our relationships to become even more intimate? You know, sometimes what we think, especially in intimate relationships, is that asking will create friction and asking will destroy relationships. Because now I'm going to be the bitch who asks for things all the time. Now he or she is going to think that I'm controlling them. Now I'm going to hurt their feelings because they're going to think that what they were doing before wasn't good, or that I'm disappointed, or and those are all real feelings, and we can deal with all of those. And what would it be like if we thought, by asking for what I want is actually the most beautiful thing that I can do for this relationship, this relationship is dying. All relationships are dying for this act. And I could be the brave one to do it. And I don't know what will happen, but I know that not asking
Mhm.
disintegrates relationships. Not asking builds walls between people. So not asking doesn't work, even though we try it all the time.
Mm.
If
Yep.
it did work, I wouldn't be here and we wouldn't be here. So we know that not asking doesn't work. And what I really have fun with is helping a woman build a bridge, because most women I know want to know how to ask. They actually do. Like, they
Mhm.
know inside that this could be a beautiful thing, but they don't know how to get from where they are to where they want to be with the asking practice, because
Mhm.
we don't have a lot of models for that in our lives. And sometimes a lot of the empowerment work that we do, that I love, the soul work, is very internally focused, and asking is also internally rooted but externally focused. We're connecting with people. And the last thing I will say on this is that we live in a culture of frickin' isolation. We live in a
Mhm.
culture of isolation. In my position in particular, the nuclear family. The
Mhm.
nuclear family is based on isolation. Plot spoiler, I don't think the nuclear family works. It's not a working system. So if you imagine that everybody lives in these little circles, right? So you're like looking at the wall and there's all these circles painted on the wall, everybody living in isolation. Asking, you can imagine it as being lines that connect the circles. That's what asking does. Asking creates magic. Asking creates intimacy and connection. It's the greatest gift. I mean, what would it be like if you flip the switch and you're like, what would it be like for somebody that I adore to ask me for what they want, something that I could give to them? That
Mhm.
would feel amazing. What would it be like for a friend who's struggling? I want to help her so much, but I don't know what to do for her because she won't tell me. And then she comes to me and she says, I need your help. Will you do this for me? Ah, my pleasure. I'm so glad you asked. Thank you. And that's what asking is. It creates magic, even when we get a no, which of course we will, even when we hit
Sure.
resistance, even when we're misunderstood, even when we fuck it up, even when it's messy and uncomfortable, even then it creates something where there was nothing before. We're in new territory in a relationship, which is
Mhm.
what most of us are desiring, even in our lives, right? We're at the edge and we're like, oh, this is pretty good. We're in our status quo, but oh, what's on the other side? What's possible on the other side of that? And asking is on the other side. Once we start asking, it goes into that territory. I feel like I just talked for like 5 hours straight. That was very exciting. That's what I have to say about that. That's why it's hard.
Yeah, well, it's important, and I think we are at this point of transition where, and like you said, I think especially as women, our worthiness. I mean, for all of us, I think. Me as a coach, when I work with people, it often boils down to feeling not good enough, not worthy enough, like all of those not enough kind of things that we're most afraid of is what's beneath the surface when, what is the root problem? And that's where I think not being able to ask comes from, because it's like, then I'll really know that I'm not worthy, that I'm not loved, right? I'm not good enough. Is that fear that it is the root fear that if I actually ask, and they say no, then truly I'm not loved. I'm not good enough. And
That's right.
and that's, I think, what's behind it. And so unconsciously, we're so afraid of that as human beings, and especially as women, like you talked about, the way we're conditioned to not have the same kind of potentially dreams or ability to speak that. That those fears, right, keep us, well, it's just better to stay safe, right?
Yeah, that's
Stay
right.
in our little pod, or, you know, I'll do it myself. I'll struggle through, because then, yeah, because then I won't, at least I won't be rejected, right?
Yeah, and yeah, you're so right. And nobody likes to, I mean, everybody's afraid of getting the no. Everybody's afraid of what the person on the other side might think. And what I would say to that is, there's 2 tips that I will give for that. 3, a suggestion and 2 tips. The suggestion is to not care so much about the story, because we could spend our entire lives on talking about the wound, the story. And yes, it's real. And if we could accept the invitation to set it aside and be willing to play with baby steps, very low stakes, then we might find that the practice itself heals the story instead of waiting for the story to heal. Because let's be honest, some stories and wounds will never heal, they will just change shape. So there's 2 things that you can do. One is to actually to practice receiving, because there's this beautiful feedback loop that happens with receiving and asking. I ask and I receive, I ask, I enjoy receiving, therefore I enjoy asking. I enjoy receiving, therefore I start to believe that I'm worthy of receiving, and therefore it's more fun to ask. And they have a partnership. If we cannot receive, we'll never get good at asking. And it won't be fun because we'll never enjoy the receiving. So the easiest thing to do with receiving is to not even ask for a fucking thing, but to say yes to any offer of help that somebody gives you, even if you don't want it, even if you don't really like it. So somebody's like, hey, can I get that door for you? Yes.
Yes.
Could I get a coffee for you? You're perfectly capable of walking and getting your own coffee. Yes. Can I help carry that for you? Can I help you move? Can I? Yes, 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 yes. So what's beautiful about this practice is that you don't even have to ask for a fucking thing. You're like, I don't want to ask. I'm freaking out. Just receive from your kids, from friends' kids, from your family members. Can I get you a napkin? Can I get you a cup of tea? Can I get you a blanket? Yes, yes, yes. Say yes to any offer of help. What is interesting is that you might notice that actually you get offered a lot of things, but it's just default that we say no.
Right.
So sometimes we're like, man, you know, especially in intimate relationships, like he'll never do anything for me. She never offers anything.
Right.
And then when we start to pay attention, we're
like,
like, oh,
never?
actually, right. Is never
Never.
true?
Right.
Is it might not be my sweet spot stuff, which is why I'm disregarding it.
Right. Exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
So for example, you know, your lover might say, you know, can I massage your shoulders? And you don't even notice. You're like, no, because you don't like your shoulders massage. You really want them to do something else. And we are very used to saying no to receiving. So we're going to say yes to every offer of help, no matter who it comes from. Yes, yes, yes. And then if you want to do baby steps in asking, and we kind of like want to build up our confidence because we're practicing, we're just practicing, we're having fun. It's not a big deal. We can just ask for little things. We just practice with tiny little things. Like somebody's in the kitchen getting a cup of tea. You might not even want a cup of tea. You say, could you bring me a cup of tea? And then you're like, yay, I asked. Celebration is really important. And it is a big deal. It's hard for us.
Yeah.
Asked for tea. Yay, I received help. And we celebrate every ask, and we celebrate every time we receive, because we're that's also part of this reorientation, this restructuring, this rewiring to how we live our lives. And if we want to live our lives in a way that is truly connective and magical with other people,
Yeah.
we have to ask, we have to receive, we have to be willing to be that person who does it. And so that's what I would say to the fear, which is the fear that all of us have about the no being a no against me. And that's the other thing. We just practice that the no isn't personal. The resistance isn't personal. We also allow somebody to say no. Sometimes what happens is people will, and anybody can shoot up a reaction if they agree with me here, if they experienced it. Sometimes people will say yes to us, especially intimate partners, because they're worried about what will happen if they say no. And we know when the yes is bullshit. Everybody knows when somebody's yes is not full body. So you're like,
Right.
oh, could you do this for me? And somebody says yes. And you're like, fuck, he's never going to do it. And yet, and now we're in a weird place because I've asked and you've said yes. So it feels like it should be happening here. But both you and I know that yes wasn't real. And so part of the practice around no is allowing somebody to say no and holding space for them when they say no. Because what we want to do is we want to run, we want to shut down, we want to lash out, we want to say, see, I told you. This is why I don't ask, because this happens every time. And so we can practice hearing a no and knowing that it's not about us. We can practice hitting resistance and staying in the conversation, even when it's uncomfortable, even when we're hurt. You know, I did an interview with a stripper. She was a stripper in Las Vegas at Spearmint Rhino, which is like the most famous strip club in the world. And I interviewed her because I said, I know you know a lot about getting no. Tell me what it's like to get no. And of course, she would be working with, 350 dancers. Okay, this place was so huge, thousands of patrons.
Wow.
And I said, what is it like? I mean, what is it like to get rejected when you're dressed, when you're like so vulnerable and you're dressed in all your sexiest stuff, and it feels like your very worth as a sexual desirable being is on the line. And she said that what she learned, and it was a practice for her too, what she learned was that if she got a no, so her question would be, do you want a dance? That's what all the strippers are asking. Would you like a dance? Would you like a dance?
Right.
And she realized that, first of all, that she did not fit everyone, and that there was some no's that she got that she didn't actually want to pursue. And there were other no's that she looked at as a beginning, not an ending. And she would ask herself the question, what is possible here? Okay, so we're gonna put the lap dance aside. That's not possible yet. What is possible? What amount of connection is possible here? And she would just have a conversation with them. And I thought that was such a gorgeous way to look at what happens in that moment of friction when you get a no. If we can practice that capacity for staying and allowing the no to not be about us, and to just look for what is possible here. So this, what I originally requested is not possible right now. in the way that I wanted it, in the time that I wanted it, in this moment right now. But what is possible? How can I still connect? Because that's the magic that asking connects. It's not just about getting the yes or the no, or it's about this beautiful, vulnerable, brave, exquisite thing that we do for ourselves and for a relationship that we treasure by expressing our desires to someone.
Yeah.
That's what it's about. So even if we don't get that yes right away and we get that no, what is possible there? Is there a connection? Could we stay and say, that's interesting. We could even be like very, very vulnerable and say, oh, okay, I'm trying to stay here. It hurt me when you said no, because I have all these stories, but I just like, would you be up to talking about this for a little bit? Or did it feel weird when I asked you that? It felt weird for me. Or okay, I'm going to be a big girl now, and I want you to know that I'm trying to deal with my hurt feelings, and it's not a big deal because I really am curious about what you think about this, or what scares you about this, or I mean, doesn't it feel, even for us, if somebody could take that care with us when we said no, or when we were resistant? If somebody was like, Lisa, I hear your no, and I so honor that, I get it. Can I just ask you a question about it? Or, tell me more about it, or what are your feelings? I mean, to hold somebody in their no and their resistance is just like a very beautiful gift. And so another way that we can work with no is to let people know, especially our intimate partner, that it's okay to say no to us, that we're not going to die, that we're not going to fall apart, that we're not going to run away, that we're not going to tell them to fuck off, that they can say no. Because as soon as somebody can say no, then they can say yes.
Right. Yeah.
Like, really. Other thing is, what we really want is for somebody else to make our desire even better than we can imagine. So I'm going to share a little. Can I share a little story about something that happened
Absolutely.
recently? Okay, so I joined this mastermind. It starts next year, and it was a very big investment. It was probably the biggest investment I've ever made. I agonized about it. I freaked out. I worked all my tools. I made the decision, and when I made the decision, I got an email from this group saying, thank you so much for joining. We're so excited to have you. And these are the dates of all of our events. We'll see you in 2022. And I was like, So I sent a little video message to the woman who had interviewed me. And I said, I just want to celebrate. I feel like this was a very big thing to do, and I have to celebrate with someone. So I'm just celebrating with you. And by the way, I was kind of expecting, I want more. I want a video message from the woman who's in charge of the mastermind. I want where are my balloons? I want more celebration. It was a big deal for me. Okay. So she says, I'll pass it on. Good. A few days later, I get a video message from the woman who's leading the mastermind, who says, Sophie, this is for you. You asked for it. I love your genius. This is an amazing idea. Not only am I sending you a video message, I am sending a personal message to every single woman who joined this mastermind. What a brilliant idea. Thank you. So here's what happened that I did not expect. And this is the asking practice. She made it even better than I could have imagined. Right?
Awesome.
I asked for myself. So I got mine, but everybody got theirs too. And that's what staying in the conversation can do, because we don't really want our desires just exactly like we want them, like we think we do. But what we really want is other people. Like we want, if you say to your man, and I'll just use that because I'm in a heterosexual relationship, what do you think if we like tried this new thing? And if he says, yes, that sounds great, that's wonderful. And if he's like, oh yeah, well then what if we did this? And you're like, oh my God, you just blew my mind because I wasn't even thinking about that. You just made it better.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's like the ripple effect in the pond that we have no idea. And we're so afraid to say those words to begin with. And then all of a sudden, yes, you've now impacted, like in that example, all those other women are now going to probably be way more excited and feel way more connected to that experience because you actually spoke up about what you wanted.
Yeah.
And other people probably wanted the same thing and just didn't ask, or it didn't occur to them. And all of a sudden it's like, wow, I really feel a part of this thing now.
Yeah. Because
and
asking, sorry.
No, go ahead. No, go ahead. What were you going to say? And I'll say something else after.
Yeah. Asking breaks rules, right? So imagine also what I could have thought in that situation.
Mm-hmm.
You get what you get, just like in kindergarten. Lisa, maybe you know this. You get what you get and you don't get upset. Right? So just take it. Everybody else is fine with this. Why do you need something special?
Right.
She's a pretty important person. You think she's going to take the time out to send you a message? Like, who are you? This isn't how it's done in these circles. Like, once you get into these circles of masterminds, they don't do that, you know? So asking requires breaking rules. It requires breaking roles as well. Like in relationships that you have, even with friends, the asking of the question that you guys, it's kind of unspoken that you don't talk about that stuff. It's an unspoken rule that in your family, you are a certain member of the family and you have a certain role to play, which means that you do not ask for certain things. In a boss, you might have certain rules around how you are in a boss employee situation. So asking requires us to break rules, but imagine what would happen if every woman just like fucking asked for everything. Like, what would happen if every woman asked for everything that she wanted? And if she got a no, she was like, fine. And if she hit resistance, she was fine with it. She just kept on going. Everything she wanted, I want this. Can I have this? Can you do this? And just completely undaunted all day long. I love these questions. How, Jennifer, how did you learn all of this? There are a few people that I have. There's a woman named Kasia Urbaniak who's doing beautiful work around power. I love her stuff. She's got yep. You know what? I'm gonna pop it in the chat. Unbound is her book. I have done a lot of work around even the facilitation. I studied facilitation for quite a long time, and the art of holding space and relationships and asking in relationships or asking in groups was something that I learned from. And then I am a genius at I'm a genius at trying and practicing and creating. So I just started trying stuff. And I was like, ooh, that doesn't work. Oh, that works. This doesn't work. That works. This makes me feel better. This feels like shit. This was a great success. Ooh, what did I do here? And then I started to talk to other women about it and discovering that actually we have all our fears are in common, and we have all of our desires in common too. People would be like, I'm pissed off that I even have to ask. That's a huge one for women. I can't believe I have to ask.
Right. Yeah.
Lisa, you're in a long-term relationship, so I'm sure I'm putting up your heart for you. I'm sure you can relate to that one. And yet what is the desire under that? The desire under that is to be seen, is to be understood, is to be known by someone. Here's another great tip. When you go into complaint mode, if you can breathe for one moment and catch yourself for one moment and feel a little bit of the desire that's under the complaint and see if you can make it into an ask, that's a beautiful practice. And that's a hard one too, because we can get stuck in complaint, right? Because it feels good in complaint and we're so justified, because it's probably not, it probably hasn't happened one time, it's probably happened 300 million times. So of course we're pissed off and we're resentful and it feels good to be so justified. But if you can, with a complaint, be like, ooh, what's my desire under this? Because then we get to refocus away from the complaint into the desire and into ourselves. What is my desire here? And then is there an ask, even if it's a little baby ask, it doesn't have to be the whole desire. Is there a little baby ask I could make around that desire? So then we start to build this like fast twitch muscle, like complaint ask, instead of complaint, which is what most of us are used to.
So
certainly I was as well. Yes, Lisa.
This seems like a really good time to ask you this question and bring this up. So with the holiday season coming up, a lot of us females, we take on that role, buying all the gifts, and then we complain, I always buy the gifts. Why isn't he doing anything? Why isn't my partner doing anything? Yeah. So it's exactly what you're saying right there. We're just complaining about it. And what's our actual desire? What could we ask from our partner? Maybe it's like, can you put the ribbon on the gift for me, or something small? Or can you do half these people and I'll do this half? So I'd love for you to touch on that.
Yeah, I think that's such a beautiful question. And I think it can be a really fun exercise. I really like all my work to be fun and playful, because if we make it work, then we're like, oh fuck, now I got to do this. I'm already working on my soul journey. Now I got to do this work. No, it's just play. So say buying presents. Okay. So a fun way to do this is to look at all the parts of the present buying that you do, because there's actually a whole string of things that happen with the present buying. You're thinking about it. It's like the mental energy of what you're going to get people. It's maybe going online and spending, if you're an online shopper, it's spending all that time on the website. Or it's arranging time to go and find presents. And then it's going back for the presents that you didn't get. And it's then wrapping the presents and packing them in the box to go to different people and doing the carts. There might be some parts of those that you love. You're like, I actually freaking love shopping. I freaking love it. That is my jam. I don't want to give that up. But what I do hate is wrapping. Would you mind wrapping the presents this year? And you just try it. And here's what might happen. Okay.
What?
You're like, holy fuck, it was that. Like, I have been waiting years. And then of course we have to zip it and be like, great, they have said yes. Awesome. I will accept wrapping of any kind. It doesn't have to be beautiful. It can be different from me. I worked with a woman who wanted to practice asking around her child's birthday party. She was so tired of organizing it all. She organized the party, she did the invites, she bought the present, she did the food, she did everything. And she's like, I'm not doing that this year. So she asked her husband, will you please buy the present? And he said yes. And she recognized that yes was like, yes, I'm pretty sure that you'll do it anyway. I'm pretty sure that even though I say yes, it's not a real yes, and you'll end up doing it anyway. And she was like, this is a very excellent experiment. So she said, I'm just going to ask him one more time, just to clarify, because I need to do it for my ease of mind. So she said, I just want to confirm you're going to get the present. And he said, yes. And she said, amazing. And she did not say another word. This guy went out and found the hottest present for his kid. It was something that she would never have bought for her son. He found it in some shop at like the top of the shelf. He wrapped it. The son was overjoyed. They had to take it back because there was an issue with it. He took care of everything. And it turned out even better than she could have imagined. Again, it's just, we can have fun fucking with our idea of what happens when we ask. So actually, she won because she didn't have to worry about it. The son won because he got probably a way better present than she would have got him. And he got a present from his dad. He knows his dad can buy wicked presents. The dad got to have, like, just got to knock it out of the park with this beautiful present. And then this woman was so happy. Then they like had amazing sex afterwards because she was like, that just was freaking awesome. Now I see the possibility. So so I would say choose just one little thing and practice, and always be in the spirit of play and experiment, because it's we don't have to get it right all the time. We just have to try. That's it.
Amazing. I love it. All my like brain cells are going off. Like I'm getting so goosebumps. This is amazing. You're so passionate, Sophie. And speaking of play, we talked about doing some exercises and tips, specifically the partner exercise and the embodiment practice of hearing no. So would love it if you could take me through that at this moment.
Yeah. So so which one should we do first? Let's do the embodiment practice first. And we'll all do it. I actually I did something special for today. So I'm going to be reading off of a script. So my eyes will be down, but I am with you. So this is again embodying our ideas about asking. So we can notice what happens in our thoughts and in our bodies when we're thinking about asking as a burden, and then when we're thinking about asking as a beautiful gift. And so when we're ready, we're just going to close our eyes, and we're just going to feel sort of with a detached, we're going to be a little bit detached. We don't have to be inside of the situation. We're going to be kind of curious about how we're reacting. Some of the things that I read will resonate deeply with us, and some won't as much. So we're just going to notice when I say something like, I shouldn't even have to ask in the first place. If that's something that resonates, you'll feel something in your body, and you're just going to be curious and be like, oh, that's interesting. That swells my throat. That makes my heart pound. And we're just going to be curious and interested. So I'm going to read about 9 phrases, and I just want you to feel what they do inside your body, where your brain goes, what you're focusing on, or what words you're associating with. And then we're going to finish, and we're going to shake that off, and then we're going to try from a different state of asking. So is there anything that does this feel like clear instructions, or do we need anything else? Beautiful. Okay. So just close your eyes. And a big inhale and exhale. Just being a curious observer. Let's see what happens in our bodies and our thoughts and to our focus when we have the following thoughts about asking. I shouldn't even have to ask in the first place. I haven't done anything to earn getting this. I am asking someone for something that will just be more work for them. They will think it's a burden. I don't deserve what I'm asking for. I'm already bracing for a no or for resistance, and I'm already getting ready to lash out, shut down, or run away. If I get a yes, I will freak out so much that I won't even know how to receive it. What I'm asking for is too much, too greedy, too selfish. What if they think I am bitchy, selfish, or trying to manipulate them? What if I hurt their feelings because I'm asking for something more or for something different? And I will just give you a few seconds to remain with your eyes closed, just to notice what's going on. Maybe there's something that I didn't mention that comes up for you. Just taking notes as a researcher on yourself. And then when it feels complete, you can open up your eyes and come back to the space. What happened? How would it feel to ask from that place?
Yeah, I was just gonna say it felt really the whole time icky, like sad, not great.
Yeah, not great. Yeah.
Yeah. How about you, Lee?
I noticed, depending on what it was, it lived in different places in my body, right? So some of them were like real gut, like, you know, when your stomach kind of turns or you get that knot, and others were, you know, coming from the heart, like it was like either a shame or guilt or a, you know, so it lived in my heart. And then I can't remember which one, but some of them were even in my jaw, right? Like it was like in here. So coming from here, like it got lost here. So it was very interesting, depending on which it lived in a different place within my being. Mm-hmm.
Beautiful. Beautiful. Thank you. Jennifer, if you want to share anything, you just give me a wave.
Hi. Those are all the stories I say to myself, which is why I don't ask. I have a really, really hard time asking. And I saw this like intuitive person a while ago, and she said, you don't receive. And it's true. Like I don't receive, like even presents. It's just, I'm so uncomfortable. So it's like, this is really enlightening for me because I'm just in that whole paradigm you just described as my reality. So I'm like, woo, well, I can do something different. Yeah. Pretty exciting.
Yeah. Beautiful. Thank you. Well, you are in the right place. So you are a genius for being here, Jennifer. Okay, let's switch it up. Let's see what else is possible around asking. So maybe we'll just like just shake that other thing out of your body. Just allowing ourselves to be a clean slate for the next one. And let's see what we can play with and shift. So again, we'll come into the eyes closed. And just that curious, detached researcher, just noticing, not too invested, just noticing what goes on. I don't have to be the one who asks. I get to be the one who asks. And that allows me to create the most intimate, amazing, and connected relationships because I am brave in standing for my desires. I don't need to earn having my desires come true. They light me up and make me come alive. And so I know they are pure and perfect. The people who love me are dying to know how to support and adore me even more. They want to know what I want. And sharing my desires is not a burden. It is an invitation for something to happen that is even greater than what is here now for both of us. This has nothing to do with deserving and everything to do with the desires that make me come most alive and light me up and point me towards who I really am. I am learning how to stay in the conversation instead of running, and I know that the no and the resistance is not personal. It's not about me, and it's not the end, but the beginning of something brand new. I am born to receive, and I am committed to learning how to receive baby step by baby step, and it's okay if it feels messy and imperfect. Receiving lights me up and lights up the person who has given me that gift. Nothing I am asking for is too big or too much. In fact, it is all the exact perfect size for me. Because I care so much about myself and about this relationship, I am willing to use this asking practice to create more truth, connection, magic, and love than any of us thought was possible. When I don't ask for what I want, I am hurting someone by not trusting them with my truth. They want to know me. I am loving them and valuing this relationship when I ask for what I want, and I am giving them the gift to do the same with me. And we'll just stay in this space for a few more seconds. Maybe there's something else that occurred to you that you want to say to yourself and play with. And then when you're ready, just slowly and sweetly open up your eyes. What happened?
Wow. I just felt like really excited and it felt just like so right. Like when you were saying it, all I wanted to do is like, yeah, yeah, yeah. And like big, like my whole body was smiling, like my stomach, like my heart, inner smile clicked completely throughout all of that. Yeah, it just feels so right, like I said. Yeah.
Beautiful. Thank you. Thanks, Lisa.
So beautiful, Sophie. I think when we connect to truly who we are, right? It's like, of course, right? Like it's like, that's yes, right? Because we can receive, because we all want to give and receive, right? And then it creates that flow. It's instead of, we're responding and listening and as opposed to reacting in life, when we listen, when we're open, when we ask, and when we speak, or when we speak our truth, and regardless of what the answer is on the other side, right? And all of a sudden so many things are possible. So that felt so good. Because it comes from the higher self, right? The part of us that isn't so concerned about what other people, I think, are thinking, but truly what it is in this moment that would serve me, and potentially, like in your example, so many other people too, right? That's the thing we don't even conceive of, because we're so busy in our own conversation of what are they going to think about me, and is this right, and all of that stuff, that we don't realize we're actually dimming who we are and our light, that doesn't allow that to flicker lights all over the place. Right? When we do that, right?
Yeah. What a beautiful image. I love that.
It was so funny. And as I was doing it, I got closer to the computer, and it was like it got lighter too. Creating light.
Thank
there.
you.
Yeah.
Beautiful. Jennifer, what happened for you? I would love to hear.
Yeah, it was amazing when you reframe the story of what it means to do the ask. It's a completely different reality. Like, I'm
Mm,
like, because I really did have that dialogue, the repetitive dialogue, or I'm a burden, and the rejection, the no's. Like, I didn't even know there was an alternate reality
yeah.
to giving and receiving and asking. Like, it's like mind blown.
Yeah. Yeah, thank you. And I think you're illustrating something that is just so common, um, that we do have a certain way of looking at asking and receiving. But then when we can shift it, we're like, oh, this becomes now a place of huge possibility. And like Lisa said, and excitement. Like I never thought that I would actually get excited about asking. And yet here I am. I want to play. I want to practice. I want to try it. So thank you. Thank you for that.
Mm.
So
Amazing.
good.
Yeah.
Did-
So easy too.
Right. And is there anyone else on the call that wants to share? Like, you can put something in the chat box, or yeah,
Mhm.
did anyone else want to share their experience?
Yeah, I would love to hear anything. Yeah, and uh, will, if something pops up, I'll respond. And Leah, I wanted to highlight what you said, about this feeling of like, of course, this desire that I have is so pure and so beautiful. And how could it be anything other than perfect and right? And the more we do the work also on, enjoying being in the desire, that is also an inoculation against the no.
Mm,
The
mm,
no doesn't matter. The resistance doesn't matter, because we're feeling so valid in the desire. Sometimes we come with a desire that's half baked and we're looking for somebody else to complete it. Like,
right.
would you, like, what do you think about maybe going to Italy on vacation? And we're looking for the other person's permission or their approval. Yeah, Italy sounds amazing. That's a great idea. Um, and and sometimes that works. Sometimes somebody happens to complete the desire, and sometimes that doesn't work. And it feels different to come so full of desire, like, oh my God, I have been dreaming about Italy. I don't know what it is about it. I might be totally wrong, but all I'm imagining is like going to have espresso with people in town and like learning Italian and the slow food. And like, I just think it would be so amazing to go there. And if somebody says no, I'm like, okay, I guess I'm not going with you, but Italy is going to be so amazing. And so there's something also about the when we give ourselves full permission to like just know that desire and love it, then we build up the validity of it, and then asking becomes easier. And also we're creating this kind of like bubble around ourselves where we can manage no's and we can manage rejection and we can manage somebody being like, I hate Italy and I will never go there with you. You're like, fine, this is just the beginning of the conversation, because I'm going to Italy. I don't know who I'm going with. It might be you, it might be somebody else. But this is, you can't, this desire becomes impenetrable, bulletproof.
That's so beautiful.
Thank you for highlighting that. That was beautiful.
What a juicy, lovely conversation. And I think before we wrap up, Jen had a question in the chat box there. So did you come up with those questions yourself? And
are these the questions that I used in the...
Yeah, which questions, Jen?
The alternative to like, oh, I'm going to be a burden or whatever, like to have excitement around the ask. And just like the alternative, like the second set of questions that you brought up, like how did you even formulate that? Was this through your own research or was it your own inspiration?
Yeah, these are things that I know from myself. and asking, and all the women that I've talked to about asking and all the women I work with, these are kind of like, these are the hot spots. These are the things that are most common for women. So, so then I just, whenever I'm developing exercises, I play with the language to like, what really gets that language to feel strong. And then because I'm so good at playing and fucking things up upside down, it was like, ooh, what would the opposite, like if I was daring enough to consider the complete opposite of this, that everything I thought about asking was not true. Everything I thought about asking was not true. What would be the opposite of that? And then how does that feel? And this embodiment practice, I think, is very powerful because sometimes we know it's happening, but we just haven't paid attention to actually what our state is when we go into asking or how we feel about it. And it's like, oh, okay. I notice that when I think about asking in this way, I actually can't, it's hard for me to get the words out because I get this fucking ball in my throat. Or I'm just like, my heart is pounding. No wonder it's hard for me to ask. My heart is pounding and I'm terrified. And then what would it be like? What could ease my body into this feeling of safety and possibility if I just thought of this way? Ooh, what that, and there'll be certain things that might work for you, Jennifer. You're like, this is the voice that I have. So this is how I need to think of it. What if that wasn't true? And in fact, the exact opposite. What if I've always believed that asking is a burden? What would it be like if that is not true? In fact, the opposite is true. Asking is a gift. When I ask, I'm giving a gift to everyone who I ask. How does that feel? What does that allow me to play with?
Great.
Thank you for asking that.
Thank you so much, Sophie. What a wonderful evening and conversation tonight. You know, feeling so much more centered and grounded, and just yeah, that I like that how you framed it in just the small, you know, the small steps too, is I think so powerful. I was just listening to Brene Brown talk to the guy who's written the book on atomic habits, and I think that's part of what is so powerful is, you know, what is, like he talked about developing habits like the people you want to be like. So in this example, it would be like people that ask for what they want. What would that person, how would they act? Right. And so I kind of like that. It's, you know, and it is the small things. Like, I think we need to just be different tomorrow. And it's like, no, it truly is just that small little ask. So whether it's, like you said, just asking, you know, could you get me a cup of tea, or something really tiny that starts to exercise the muscle that we haven't used before.
Yeah, that's right. And then when we get that little cup of tea, we just enjoy the fuck out of receiving it. So we're practicing both muscles, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. And being grateful. Well, I am super grateful to you this evening for you sharing your expertise and your joy and your juiciness and your passion and love. So thank you. We'll do our closing intention, and then we just have some quick final announcements. So I invite you to just close your eyes for a moment.
Can I jump in for 1 second?
Yes, of course.
I'm so sorry to do this. Anybody who's interested, I have my last masterclass of the year next Tuesday on December the 21st. And it's called How to Ask for What You Want in Bed. And I was going to call it How to Ask for the Sex That You Want, but actually we want all kinds of things in bed. We want sex, but we want all kinds of things. So I think you're going to make that information available to anybody. Great, wonderful. And it's at noon and it's going to be amazing. So I just wanted to put that out.
Absolutely. We do that at the end, and that's so we'll share it.
Of course you do.
So yes, of course we do.
Of course you
do. But
do.
it's perfect because we definitely don't want to miss that. And Lisa will share that again once I do the closing intention, as well as, yeah, it'll be in our mail out before the end of the week, so people can click on it and go to it as well. So
Beautiful.
yeah, because I think, yeah, just to go deeper into this is such a powerful practice. So I invite you all to close your eyes as we close our time together. With gratefulness to all, we pause to offer each other love and kindness. May our understanding of love be expanded by what we have shared as we open ourselves to growth. May we rest in trust and surrender ourselves and our past to divine grace, asking that this time together be protected, corrected, and held high. May we now see through love's eyes and understand beyond words. May we all be safe, happy, and healthy. May we all rest in full joy and know that there is no distance between friends in time or space. Divine strength and peace surround us until we meet again. Open your eyes. Welcome back. I'd like to share one little thing here is we are asking for a donation if possible. Sifo Matalea was my guide when I did a safari in South Africa in 2018. And he reached out to me. His family are not able to feed themselves right now. And so Lisa's put in the chat a PayPal link, and we'll put it in the mailer as well. Any donation, small, whatever you can send, will go directly. We're sending money to him. So just, tourism has been decimated in places like South Africa. So yeah, so sending money to where it's most needed would be, we'd be very grateful for anything you can donate. And now I'd like to pass it over to Lisa to do our little final announcements.
Thank you again, Sophie, for an amazing evening. Your work is so, so important. And yeah, it was awesome. I learned so much. So thank you. And just to recap her top 3 learnings, Sophie says, everything we believe about asking isn't true. A woman needs to be FAF, full as fuck, to create her most desired life. And finally, all rules around the good, mother, wife, woman are up for grabs. Like Sophie mentioned, we're going to be sending out her registration link to her class. That's next Tuesday, December 21st at noon, how to ask for what you want in bed. And that will come in our highlights email over the next day or 2. So keep an eye out for that. And then if you're interested in learning more about Lee's coaching sessions, her information and contact details will be included. And finally, our next LeeLa event is Wednesday, January 19th with Leanne Morgan Sands. She's a certified WildFit coach. WildFit is a 3-month program designed to give you food freedom. It helps you understand why you make certain food choices and their effects on your body. It focuses on helping you achieve a healthier lifestyle, both in the short and long run. And finally, we wish everyone a wonderful holiday season. Enjoy. Until next time, everyone, be well, aloha, and good night.
Thank you. Bye, everyone. Take care.
Bye.